Pancake Butt, there's actually a word for what happens to us, literally dead butt syndrome. And people want to reverse that.
Your glutes aren't actually dead, they're just a little lazy. Your brain's a little lazy on activating your glutes, and that's what happens when you're just sitting for elongated periods of time.
Today's podcast is introducing not only a new super trainer, but her new program called the 30-Day Booty Boost.
What we're gonna do is take the glute activation method, which is in my program. I activate your glutes before we jump into compounded movements. So jumping straight into compounded movements with inactive glutes, that's where you're gonna find your quads and your hamstrings. They're gonna dominate, and that's what we're trying to avoid because we're not trying to build bulky legs. We're trying to build the glutes. So I've really dialed in on how to isolate the glutes. What I say is we're always gonna be booty besties if you do my program. So booty besties for life.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the BODi Experience podcast. This one is one of those podcasts where we make a product announcement and describe something to you that there has been outrageous demand for probably 3 years. I can remember being cornered at an event and literally 4 women saying to me, please give us a focused 30-day booty program. Well, your dreams are coming true. Today's podcast is introducing not only a new super trainer, but her new program called the 30-Day Booty Boost. So let's get into it. Please welcome to the BODi Experience podcast, our new super trainer, Chace Collett. Welcome, Chace.
Hi.
It's great to have you. Now, look, before we get ahead of ourselves, while you're a new super trainer, you're not new to the platform, not new to the ecosystem. You've been in Chop Wood, Carry Water. You were in 10-Minute Muscle with Scott Matheson. You were in P90X Generation Next. Even I think you were doing some of the modification moves, if I recall. But now you're leading this program, 30-Day Booty Boost. Do you feel like your time has come finally?
Yes, I finally feel like my time is here and I've been ready and I've been waiting, and yeah, I'm super excited to be in this position.
Well, let's give everybody just a sense of your background before we get into the program. Because, look, we really wanted to have sort of a new look, a new approach to this particular program because so many people have wanted a specific booty program. Now, I don't want to make it sound like you're going to work out for 30 days and all you're going to work is your butt. You're going to get a full body workout, but the emphasis, the focus is on firming, lifting, rounding the butt, shaping it with an approach that we call the glute activation method, that will also sort of, I wouldn't say disengage, but not put so much pressure on the quads that you're going to also get thicker legs. But before we get there, I want to get into your background.
Okay.
I'm told you're an incredible dancer and have won 5 dance world championships. What does that even mean?
Well, yes. I've been dancing my entire life since I was 3. I competed in South Africa because that's where I'm from. And then I represented Team South Africa at the World Championships, which is actually held in LA annually. And yeah, that's where I worked my way up and I won the entire championships. There was a year, one of the years, where I was in the junior section. And then I was also in the senior section because I had a male dance partner, and our age average took me up to the senior section. And I actually won the junior section and the senior section with him in one night. And I believe I'm still the only person to have done that in the world. So I'm holding on to it as long as I can.
What kind of dance are we talking about? Is this like ballroom dancing with the fancy outfits? What are you doing?
All styles, honestly. So I would compete in acrobatics, ballet, contemporary, jazz, lyrical, musical theater, and an open section. And then with my partner, I would do hand to hand, all those sections, as well as like hand to hand, which is all the lifts. So I'd be above his head 90% of the time.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
5-time champion. Okay. How does that translate to a career in fitness and particularly being a super trainer developing a booty program?
I was obsessed, for lack of a better word, of just being better and getting better all the time. So I started to get into fitness while I was training for my competitions so that I could, condition my body, strengthen my muscles because I always wanted to jump as high as the boys. Like I would always have that little competitive edge because boys jump higher. And I was like, well, I want to jump as high as them. And then I was like, oh, I actually like, I love this. I really love working out, pushing my body, seeing what it can do. Like, I love feeling strong. I love being strong. So that's how I got into fitness. And then I kind of just progressed and did more and more in the fitness industry and fell more and more in love with it. And it's perfect because the two go hand in hand together. So like dancing and fitness, they help each other. So like my dancing helped me be able to like have great mobility and everything in my fitness aspect. And then my fitness aspect helped me have great strength and like power and explosiveness in dancing. So yeah, that's how I got here. And recently, couple of years, I would say maybe, I have been interested in growing my glutes because obviously we know it's an aesthetic craze right now in the world, as well as a functional one. Of course, there's obviously tons of functional benefits to strong glutes. So I have hit a lot of trial and error with that because I wanted to stay lean and athletic, and I never wanted my legs to grow big. So, trial and error working out how I can grow my glutes without necessarily growing my legs or going on this ginormous bulk, which would grow my entire body, of course. So, I really, really like dialed in on how to isolate the glutes, and that is how I'm here as a super trainer for a booty program now.
What's interesting about that is you don't normally see somebody who would be a world champion dancer um, being curvy, let's say. Okay. So like normally when you think dancer, you're thinking like ballerina body or super lean and like everything sort of is needs to be long and lean and tiny and you would the opposite of having a round firm protruding peach as they say would sort of be the normal shape. How did you reconcile those two goals? Because I assume you still dance, or maybe you've abandoned that. But how did those two things navigate each other?
So that was a big reason on why I didn't want to bulk and I didn't want any other muscle group to grow. So because of my dancing and because I was going to be on stage and performing, like I wanted to stay, you know, a nice lean muscular physique, which is still petite. I was trying things, seeing how my body reacted. And then if it wasn't reacting well, then I'd switch it up or try a different thing so that I could keep my slimmer, athletic physique for dance. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
well, look, you're obviously in the minority, a very special athlete doing both a fitness career and dancing professionally and competing. Um, but for the rest of us who are sitting behind computer screens all day, there's actually a word for what happens to us, and that is called literally dead butt syndrome. It's a thing online and social media. People want to have a round, firm butt, but there's actually a functional issue behind it because we're all working all the time. And obviously, when you're sitting down all day, you're not working your butt. And that's where you get this thing, the dreaded pancake butt. And people want to reverse that. But there's no shortage of workouts on YouTube, available anywhere that will promise you a good glute workout. You can expect squats, you can expect hip thrust. What did you put together? Now, I know we call it the glute activation method. What does that do over the course of this 30 days that people should know if they really want to get great results in their glutes over the course of a month?
You're right. There's no shortage of workouts on YouTube, on TikTok, Instagram, all those kind of things. But the difference with my program is that we are really isolating and targeting the glutes to the max. So we're working on the glute med, the glute max, and the glute minimus. So you need all three of those to be worked to get shape and to get all-rounded strength in your glute. You can't just work one of them. And what happens is when you have the dead glute syndrome, your glutes aren't actually dead, they're just a little lazy. Your brain's a little lazy on activating your glutes, and that's what happens when you're just sitting for elongated periods of time. So, what we're gonna do is take the glute activation method, which is in my program. I activate your glutes before we jump straight into compounded movements. So, jumping straight into compounded movements with inactive glutes, that's where you're going to find your quads and your hamstrings. They're going to dominate, and that's what we're trying to avoid because we're not trying to build bulky legs. We're trying to build the glutes. So the glute activation method is working all three parts of the glutes. It's activating them before we go into that compounded movement, before we go into that heavy lifting and the strength part of the workouts.
Got it. So, it sounds like we're going to be lifting some decent weight then, because and that's the beautiful thing, frankly, about working the glutes is that's the largest muscle in the body. So it's going to be really good for your posture. Going to be really good to take stress off your lower back, off your hips, off your knees. But it's also going to build your metabolism. Which is why you want that growth. So, like, there's all these benefits to building the glutes. What can people expect? Let's get into the program a little bit. How long are the workouts? How many workouts? And what kind of equipment do we need?
We have about 14 workouts in the program. They range from about 30 to 50 minutes, majority of them being between 40 and 45 minutes. Your equipment that you need for the program is a bench, a power loop, your dumbbells, of course, sliders, and then we have optional ankle weights as well for the program. So we've got all the equipment that we need to really, really work those glutes. You're going to be doing 6 workouts a week with an optional recovery workout on the seventh day if you want to take that as well, which I recommend because you should always recover. It's always good for you.
You say dumbbells, though. I think, you know, you walk into some people's house, you go over and you see what their dumbbells look like, and they got a pair of threes and a pair of fives. Is that going to do it for this program? Like, what is the range that you really need in order to get results?
So that is not going to do it for this program. We are going to be lifting super, super heavy in this program. I want you to push the boundaries. I don't want you to fear those weights. So there are a few upper body exercises which you will need those lighter weights for. But other than that, we need the heavier weights. I would say range from about 5 pounds to 50, 60 pounds, you know, and hopefully, when you redo it, because we're going to get stronger as we do it, you can go even heavier than that.
So let's say, people aren't sitting around with 40s, 50s, 60s sitting around the house. Can they get started if maybe they have a pair of 25s? Can they start the program with a range of, let's say, that 5 to 25s?
Absolutely. So you can always double up. So you can have two 25s and that will make 50. There is opportunity and there is space to double up on dumbbells if you don't have heavy dumbbells yet. So you can absolutely start the program with a lighter set. So you'll just be using two dumbbells in certain movements instead of one.
And, when you're lifting that kind of weight, um, some people, particularly working the booty, um, what would your advice be for people who have a little bit of fear around their lower back or around strain when they're lifting that kind of weight? Because you also train people. what is the advice to make sure that people have a good experience and don't hurt themselves while they're if they're lifting heavier weight than they're used
So,
to?
if you're going to be lifting heavier weight, I would say test it out first. See if you're comfortable with it. You always want to keep your core engaged, of course, all the time whenever we're lifting. Don't be too proud. So, if you are with someone, or maybe you hear me say, "Oh, I'm lifting this," don't all of a sudden jump to that weight. You got to test it out and see where you are on your journey and then work your way up, and that way you can always stay safe. Listen to cues as much as possible, because the cues are going to save your lower back, because lower back is honestly one of the first things to go when we are working the glutes or when we're lifting anything heavy. Like, you could be lifting a suitcase and your lower back would be like tweaked, which is another thing in this program that is so great, that all of the movements are actually functional to everyday life things. So they actually translate to things like that. Your body gets stronger to lift suitcases or put things above your head. So that's going to be a great touch for women as well in this program.
Now you say activate your core. Okay.
Yes.
We hear that all the time.
Hmm.
And I've been doing this a long time. And I'll be honest with you, as much as I hear it, I still don't really understand what it means. So like, does it mean just flexing my abs? What does in this case, like, can you talk me through what activating my core means?
Okay. First of all, mind muscle connection is the biggest thing for activating any muscle, but especially the core, if it's not the primary muscle being used or being strengthened in that exercise. So we want to make that mind muscle connection. So you got to think, okay, I need to engage my core. I can't have my rib cages extended out, or I can't like arch my back. I got to keep it tight, not hold my breath though. So it is kind of like flexing in a bit, but you're not like straining yourself where you can't move. So you make that mind muscle connection. You make it nice and tight, and then that will automatically stabilize your body as it is. Obviously, there's other factors like your feet positioning, your shoulders, and everything like that, depending on the exercise that you're doing. But we always start off with the core, because that is our main stabilizer, and that protects the spine as well. So, mind muscle connection, engage it. It is kind of like a flex, but not one that makes you hold your breath.
Does it go all the way down into the glutes, or like do you focus on, like you said, the rib cage is closed,
Yes.
the abs are engaged, but I can also feel that sort of radiate down into my glutes, which can interfere with the motion that I'm doing. That's where I get sort of messed up, and I'm not sure how to tilt my hips and all that. So how do you how does I guess engaging the core, how far does it go?
Once you feel it in your glutes and it's stopping your range of motion or stopping your like fluidity of movement, you're then tensing up your entire body and you're tensing up all your muscles instead of just activating your core. So again, I think that that's where you will really tap into that mind muscle connection, and you got to tell your body, okay, I just need my core to be engaged so that I can be stable, but it doesn't mean that I've got to tense my entire body and every single muscle up.
Yeah, I think that's really good input that you don't hear it explained that extensively. And that's one thing about the program that I noticed from a cueing perspective. You really brought complete thoughts to your cues, how the hip thrusts are done, how to move the weights around. In order to get results on a muscle group this large, you need to lift heavy enough and avoid injury. And I really appreciate how you managed to help people do both with constant cueing and constant reminders. Because I'll forget. You can give me the cue at the beginning of the workout, but if you don't tell me three-quarters of the way through, I forget what you said. Again, we talk about what is a super trainer, and I think that's an important superpower that a super trainer has, and that's that repetition and giving the cue to somebody at the moment that they need it, at the moment that they might be weakening. And you really did a great job of that in these
Thank you.
14 workouts. And I want to be clear to people, like you said, the workout time range is 30 to 50 minutes, but you've also got 10-minute bonus workouts, and we even shot a
Yes.
10-minute booty boost. How many of those workouts
Yes.
did you do?
We did 10 of those. So
Okay.
there's 10 10-minute booty boost workouts.
Got it. All right.
Yes.
Now, with the goal being firm, lift, and build, like, unless you have a glute muscle, there ain't nothing to lift. Like, you have to build it to have it be round, to have it be full, which
Yes.
means you need to fuel it.
Mhm.
Um, and you incorporated the P90X supplement line into that. Which ones are key to getting the best results from your program?
So key would be your protein. You gotta hit your protein goals, so the P90X whey, and then I've also incorporated collagen into it as well. Collagen just helps with your, firming the skin and all of that, so that's gonna help with the lift and, um, the lean muscle stack is what it's marketed as for the P90X supplements. So I incorporated that entire stack for
So that's
this
the
program.
protein, pre-workout, creatine,
Yes,
and
and
so that's
collagen.
the lean muscle stack with those 3.
Yes.
Got it. And then did the test group use Shakeology, do you know?
Yes, Shakeology, of course, always. We can't not have the Shakeology. So those supplements are really important on your journey because you can put in the work, and then if you're under fueled or you're not fueling your body sufficiently, it's kind of like you're doing it for nothing.
Right.
You need to fuel your body, you need to fuel your muscles need to recover. All of that is part of the building and the strengthening.
So tell me about the test group. How many people went through the program? And what kind of results or what kind of feedback did you get from the program? Because I know it's funny when we first announced within the company that we were going to do a 30-day booty program, the number of hands that went up. Let me try. I want to try it. I want to do it. Like it was, you rarely get this kind of volunteer testers in a program. So clearly there's demand for it. But what did you have to work with when we originally tested the program?
So I had a group of 37 women. I have gotten such good feedback from them. It's been so rewarding for me, not just about my program, but it's been rewarding seeing how they started and where they are now. Their confidence has skyrocketed. Just a week into it, the way that they walked into the room compared to the first week was like night and day. It was completely different. They felt better, they felt more confident. I could see like their outfits are definitely more confident, like just their aura changed. So that was, I think, one of the most rewarding things because not only are you working hard and we're building the muscle and the goal is to build the booty and all of that kind of stuff, but you're also building your confidence and self-love and knowing that you just hip thrusted so heavy the day before or something like that and you're like, yeah, I did that, and you're just so proud. So it's been great. I have loved working with them. There's been amazing feedback. They're getting stronger and stronger. They put their weights in the little notes that they do and they're like, "I went up in weight," or "I double banded," and I'm just like, "Yes, okay, let's go." They're literally getting so strong, and it's just amazing to witness, honestly, and they are literally like a little family to me now. They're like a little booty family.
Well, we talk about booty, but we also promise total body transformation. How
Yes.
do you incorporate upper body, cardio, core? How does that work into the program so that I'm not just overtraining one muscle group?
Yes. So part of training a muscle group is allowing it to recover. So we can't just be hitting our glutes every single day for 6 days a week. So we got to break it up. and we can't neglect the rest of our body. So what we've got is 3 glute workouts. We've got an upper body workout, a total body workout, and a core cardio workout. So they're all scheduled into the week, and we're working our entire body because our aim is to have a well-rounded, athletic, lean physique. So we're allowing the glutes to rest and then working the rest of our body while we do that so that they can recover. So the next glute day, we're ready to go because it's just as important. In fact, it's very, very important to allow the muscle to recover and to repair. Otherwise, it can actually do the opposite. Like, you're overtraining it, so then it's not gonna grow at all.
Yeah. Now, how did the test group incorporate the nutrition plans into their month?
So they had 2 nutrition plans from BODi. They had Portion Fix and 2B, and then they had their supplement stacks, which is the ones that the P90X and the Shakeology and the collagen, and they were dialed. So we're keeping tabs. They've been dialed on that. They've been dialed on their nutrition because nutrition, as well as supplements, plays a huge, huge role in muscle building and dropping that body fat and all of that. So the nutrition is key for this program because again, you don't want to do everything and then it be for nothing. Like you got to have all the aspects. They're all working together to make your outcome exactly what you wanted.
Now, this is going to be a great summer program. The sample workout will be available to people on May 18th, I'm told. That'll be available on body.com and body previews and YouTube. But you're also going to be having a challenge group that we're currently, I think, targeting. We might open that around the 8th of June, but the group will start on June 15th. Will you be participating in that group and supporting people who decide to go for that?
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be in that group and I'm going to be supporting everyone every step of the way. I'm excited for it. I want to be part of everybody's journey. I want to be in it with you. So I'm definitely going to be in that group and I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be incredible. And it's always nice to have accountability partners.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, um, my last question is, look, sometimes you get people who are like, "Well, I like this. I'm doing a thing over here already, but I like the idea of this." Um, will people have the option to weave these workouts into any other program? They say they're doing chop wood, carry water, B90X, or whatever program. Can they incorporate the booty program into the other programs that we have on the platform?
I think in terms of allowing the muscles to recover, it would be smart to focus on this program because it is a heavy lifting strength program. The 10-minute series on body though is definitely easy to incorporate. You can add it in the beginning or at the end, a little extra touch of something. I know there's lots of options of the 10-minute workouts on body. So I would say those are easy to add on. But again, because we're building muscle, we want to have that time to recover. So you wouldn't want to do a glute day with me and then the next day a leg day from another program because that is going to hinder your recovery time and then take us a little step backwards. But you can always add on those 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's smart, and I really appreciate your honesty on that. And how about people who would maybe consider doing multiple rounds? Can they go from round to round to round? Do they need to take time off between rounds? What's your prescription for that?
I highly recommend going round to round to round because I believe and I want to push in progressive overload. So that is getting stronger and stronger each week. So you'll start, let's just give a random weight. You'll start at 25 and then maybe in 2 weeks you're up to like 40 and then you stay there for a little bit and then repeating allows you to now have a different starting point. So you get stronger and stronger, and the muscle builds more because we want the muscle to be under tension. The muscle's got to be under tension for it to build and for it to get stronger. So repeating is perfect, especially for that muscle group. And especially if you track your weights, because you want to go heavier and heavier each time. You want to be like, "Well, the first time I did this program, I was hip thrusting this amount of weight, and now I'm doing it and I'm like doubled my weight." And that's crazy because you've gotten stronger and your muscle is now got room to grow because you're putting it under tension again. Whereas if you just do it once, you may get to a weight and then never really see your full potential of that you're actually stronger and you can go heavier.
Yeah. Well, people are going to have their first chance to go for it
Yeah.
mid-June. Very exciting. You got to be excited to see that debut. And I know they look amazing. The production team did a terrific job putting it together. And we're just excited to have you on board as a super trainer. Appreciate everything you've done for us for the with the 3 programs you've already participated in. But excited for you to have your time in the spotlight with the launch of the 30-day booty boost.
Yes, I'm so excited. I can't wait for everybody to experience this. I know that it's going to be something different. And I think that a lot of people are going to feel very rewarded, not only on like the physical or the aesthetic, but definitely on the confidence and just how they feel from the inside out. So I'm super excited about that. I've watched women transform already in the test group. So I can't wait for the rest of the people to get a little taste and to start doing it. And what I say is we're always going to be booty besties if you do my program. So booty besties for life once you
There you
start.
go.
Yeah.
Well, coming this June, you're going to get a chance to be the booty bestie with Chace Collett, our newest body super trainer. Chase, thanks so much for
Thank
joining me on
you.
the Body Experience podcast, and good luck with the launch of the 30-day booty boost. And if you want to give it a shot, all you have to do is you can sign up. If you buy one of our supplements, you can actually get a 30-day free trial of BODi. That'll give you enough time to actually do the whole program your first time through, or you just sign up, get yourself a subscription, and you're going to have access to over 160 programs on the app, plus over 4 nutrition plans. And you'll get a chance to do the 30-day booty boost and whatever other program you want to use to help keep yourself healthy, strong, agile, mobile, and above all else, feeling good about yourself. So we're excited to add this program to the platform this June, and we hope you enjoy it. And we hope you enjoy Chace Collette and maybe join our group and do the challenge group. Actually, I think everybody who finishes the program inside that challenge group is going to have the ability to get a free 30-day booty boost tank top, and you just have to complete some assignments and share your experience with us, and all those rules are in the group when you join it, but that's all part of the body experience. So that's it for today. Looking forward to the 30-day booty boost from Chace Collette. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you get that firm round booty and avoid that darn dead butt syndrome. I'm Carl Deichler. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Body Experience podcast.